What's your favorite scary movie?
Be like, I'm dying.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they guys, I'm like, it's over and done. We're married now."
Someone in the movie, so I'm like, kiss. But
Oh God, what a sea of humanity.
Wow, wow, wow. We did it. Welcome in, everybody, to 52/1994, your live movie conversation podcast where we dive deep into the movies of 1994. I'm your host, Cody, and I'm thrilled to be joined this week by my fantastic co-host, Steven. Welcome in, Steven. For those
What's up,
tuning in,
Dad?
what's up, Dad? For those tuning in for the first time, we're so glad that you're here every week, 52 of them to be exact. We explore a different film from 1994. Whether it's a classic hit, quirky gem, or a terrible movie, we'll dive into this year's important releases, discuss them in detail, and then chat with the guest about their thoughts on the movie and, maybe see what else they've been watching. Today's movie of choice is Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. This is a Disney movie that you will not see on streaming, Disney Plus anytime soon anyway. But yeah, we'll be talking about Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. So before we jump into that movie, let's welcome Steven. Steven, thank you for joining us. Have you seen the film that we're discussing today?
Absolutely. What a name, Rudyard. You know?
Yeah, who names their
What a
kid?
name.
Who names their child Rudyard?
Rudyard. That's one that I don't think I've ever come across anywhere else. And I didn't do any research or anything, but what a name. Yeah, we grew up with this one in the house, I believe, on VHS. Seen it several times over the years, but it's been, I'd say, at least a couple decades since I've seen
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. We never had this one. I do remember seeing this movie, renting this movie multiple times and seeing it that way because it was a popular film in my house for a
I
while.
think I could see like I guess not in my house necessarily, but I could see some parents, like watching it along with their children and being like, okay, this is maybe not a kid's Jungle Book. They're gonna not watch that one again, kind of thing. But I think it was on replay in my house.
Yeah, it's there's nothing really. I mean, there's some scary moments in it, and there's some stuff that I remember from this movie as a child that I was like, oh yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
really messed me up.
that's why I'm scared of quicksand and snakes.
Because
Yeah,
of this movie, yeah, and
yeah,
any
yeah.
like Indiana Jones type of movie as well too. But yes, the quicksand. This and I think Princess Bride and there's probably a couple. The Mummy, I
The
think.
Mummy.
The Mummy were such classic quicksand things that we were always. I think you see it on the internet all the time now. Like people are like, "Why was I so scared of quicksand? It's nowhere ever?" But all these movies had it when we were in the when we were a child. So
From my understanding too, that's real. Like they're just, like I don't think they're as real as it was in this movie, where it's just like complete liquid and you fall into it and you're screwed from the get go. But I do think there's some very liquidy sand, that you can slowly get sucked down into. And yeah, that's been a fear. It's funny that you mentioned the Mummy too. There was a guy, the guy that played Wilkins in
mhm.
this movie. I could have sworn he was like in the Mummy, but I think a lot of my memory of the Mummy and this movie kind of blend together for reasons that I'm sure we'll discuss.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you have memories of this movie, or if you know anything about this movie, please feel free to put your memories in the chat of watching this when you were a kid. Um, as we jump into it and we talk about it a little bit more in detail. So let's go ahead and get right down into it. So the movie's name is Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. It is a Disney production. Came out on Christmas of 1994. So this is going to be one of the later movies in the year for us. It was directed and written by Stephen Sommers. Stephen Sommers is most famous for The Mummy, and directing and writing The Mummy as well. So that's probably why there's a lot of things that we see from The Mummy in this movie. So the adventure, I think, too, is like a huge part of, like, it's just a vibe of the adventure, and like that's what you get in The Mummy too. It's um,
An excursion.
yeah, like I'm excited to kind of hear how you feel about this movie and if you feel kind of the same way I did about it. It was also written by Ronald Yanover and Mark Geldman. It is based on Rudyard Kipling's two books, Jungle Book and the Second Jungle Book. He couldn't come up with a better title for that second one. Um, I'll say loosely based, honestly, because like honestly the cartoon movie is probably a little closer than what we get here with this Jungle Book, and I think we've talked about it a little bit beforehand, but the vibes of this movie feel like other Disney movies that we've watched and other movies that we've watched that
Do you think it was like that before Disney came in?
ooh, I
Like
don't
when
know.
I wonder, that's one thing that was really interesting. And like, I think I spent a little bit more time just diving in. There weren't as many like fun facts. A lot of the fun
Yeah.
facts were about like animal training stuff. So I just kind of like looked into more of the story of Disney coming in. And it made me so interested in what it was like before, you
Yeah,
know?
so what you're talking about is this movie was actually an independent production. It was there was only $18 million in the budget, and then Disney was like, "Hey, you're doing a Jungle Book movie? Let's put our name on it. Let's give you 12 more million dollars, and let's try and bring in this family audience and associate it with as a live action adaptation of our cartoon film that we've got."
I can only imagine trying to make a movie like this with $18 million and then somebody come in like Disney and it's like, man, they got the connections. We're definitely, like not only the money, but like I bet they know the people that got the tigers,
Yeah.
like they know the people that have the wolves, the trained wolves. So what a connection to get to like, elevate it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Back in the day too, and I maybe when you noticed this too when you were watching it, because like the special effects of this movie aren't as amazing as they probably were at the time. Like you can obviously see like they used a green screen or a blue screen, whatever they were using for some of like the wider shots with all like that they have, but also whenever the children are or not child, the child is with around all these animals and stuff like face to face, they're not really there.
But I also think that as unimpressive any moments of like green screen and stuff are, you get three times, if you're paying attention, you get three times the positive of like what they accomplished with real life animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was way more impressed with the live animal use versus the disappointment with like a little bit of CGI here and there.
Yeah, because the CGI is like the CGI things that they use, which I think is mostly the snake in this movie, is really like the only like CGI animal you get. Everything else is real animal.
And I don't know if you had the same reaction as I did, but like I don't remember as a kid thinking like, man, that looks fake.
Yeah, no, at all.
Like there's a scene we'll end up talking about where Wilkins is face to face with the tiger. And I remember, excuse me, I remember as a kid that being terrifying, you know? Like my reaction I mean, if I was 9 and saw this when it first came out, that was a very scary scene to me. So I think that's one thing that I hear in our culture more now is like actually saw, I think it was Hassan Minaj saying like let kids review kids movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's an adult watching it, it's like, that's clearly not a tiger in that guy's face, like now with my 39-year-old eyes. But at 9, 10, 11 years old, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it looks great for the time.
Yeah, it really does. And like, even when even when there are sections of the movie like Mowgli holding on to Bagheera's tail, everything, I don't know that that's not a child holding on to a panther, because it's not. It's a stunt double that they had in there holding on to that. But even I had to read that to figure out that, oh, we're using a stunt double for Mowgli in that moment. Like, I didn't notice that, and so that's cool to me as a child. I'm like, oh, he's just a friendly little cat that is hanging out with him.
Yeah.
I like
I
that start of
think,
it.
yeah, the question in the chat, I think monkeys, because monkeys, I think, are, they're the least likely to eat it. Oh God. Um, but yeah, I think what they were able to accomplish, even watching it now in 2024, what they were able to accomplish with real animals shows that those extra millions, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you won't ever see a movie like this ever again, probably,
Yeah.
because just with animal treatment and things like that, they're never going to use that. And
Even
CGI is
back
only getting
then,
better and better.
yeah, even back then they had to jump through a bunch of hoops. I mean, we
Hmm.
can get to that later, but man, yeah, I think that's for later in the conversation. But like even in '94, they were filming this here and clearing the room and doing lots of stuff just to make it work back then to meet
Hmm.
the regulations. So
It's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, we can talk about it. So, we got a cast in this movie. I'm not going to name off everybody in this movie, but I will name off the main ones, the bigger names in this. We've got Jason Scott Lee as Mowgli, the older version of Mowgli. Carrie Elwes as Captain Boone. We've got Lena Headey as Kitty. She's probably most famous for being Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones. Sam Neill, who is Kitty's father, Colonel Bryden, and John Cleese as Dr. Julius Plumford. The synopsis for this movie is when his father is killed by a jungle tiger, Mowgli is orphaned and grows up in the wild, raised by animals. Years later, the bracelet given to him by his childhood friend Kitty is stolen. In pursuing it, he discovers Monkey City with all of its treasures. He's reunited with Kitty, but struggles to adapt to civilization. When Kitty's unscrupulous suitor, Captain Boone, attempts to raid the jungle of its treasures, Mowgli's life is imperiled. We already talked about the budget of this movie. The budget was $30 million. It was a modest. Did make a profit, $70 million. This movie, critically wise, is kind of all over the place. Rotten Tomatoes has this at 80%, which is super high
very
for
high for
this.
Rotten
And then
Tomatoes.
like IMDb and Letterboxd, which are more like user based and more like people that are actually watching it and giving their opinion. 6.1 out of 10 for IMDb, 2.8 for Letterboxd, which I thought was so low.
Yeah,
Roger Ebert, sorry, Ebert and Siskel and Ebert were very much against this, like on opposite sides of this film. Roger Ebert said the special effects are convincing, the performances are forthright, the direction by Stephen Sommers recalls his energetic, lighthearted The Adventures of Huck Finn. It's a good film in its way, and I hope the right audience finds it. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And then Gene Siskel simply wrote, rent the animated film instead. He gave it 1 out of 4 stars. So interesting stuff. No real legacy beyond this. Like, they've remade the Jungle Book. There's a live action Jungle Book that was made in, I think, 2016 or somewhere around there, which was okay, I guess. If I had to like rank it in mine above the new like versions of movies, it's probably at the top of those, because I didn't like the Beauty and the Beast one. I didn't like any of the other ones. Aladdin, I didn't like any of those. It's probably the best, but it's still not
I'm
like
looking forward. I'm
amazing.
looking forward to talking to you about it because I would agree with you, but I think there's a really good reason for that.
Yeah.
But I will get into it for sure.
there was a video game for this movie, not based on the cartoon. There is the video game, the cartoon one, but there was a full motion video game that came out for this in 1996. Interestingly enough, don't know why it took them 2 years to make that video game, but yeah. So there was a little video game there, and I like a good FMV full motion video game.
That'd be interesting to see for sure. Like, I definitely played the cartoon version video game at some point, but I don't remember ever seeing. And I kind of looked for, like images of it online. Yeah, I'd play it.
Yeah, I'd play it. I'm sure it takes like an hour and a half or so to play. Like,
yeah.
Maybe I'll play it on a stream after this. Who knows?
Bonus stream, yeah.
Bonus stream. All right, so let's go ahead and let's dive into our discussion, and let's talk about some of the scenes that really stick out to us. We've already mentioned a couple of them, but it's not going to stop us from talking about them again. So let's just go for it.
Where do you start off? I start off with the attack on the camp, the Shere Khan attack. We get introduced to Shere Khan by him going into their camp at night and really causing a scene. And like that to me is where we get our first like, whoa, that's a lot of live animals, like, moving around and doing a lot. Especially with the tiger, it's like I was immediately impressed by that scene.
And like tigers like tackling people, and you can see that those are real people too, which is crazy to see.
Yeah, because you hear the stories, man, that like they can be friends for a while, but then one day they just might eat your arm.
Yeah. And the elephants in the scene, just huge animals that you have to like deal with. Mowgli with his wolf that he's carrying around the whole time.
Do you think if you went to India, you would ride an elephant? I think that would be so scary.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's very high up there.
Man, especially like that. That's where we get introduced to baby Mowgli when he calms the elephants down. Man, being on one of those things, like being on a horse is scary enough.
Yeah.
I don't know how much horseback riding you did in the youth group days, but we did
my grandpa had a horse.
Man, yeah, and it was scary to be on a horse, and a couple times it got kind of riley. But yeah, I think it'd be fun, but man, I'd be nervous about riding an elephant. And so just like all them, like the way they were able to like have monkeys up in the tree and they were shooting past the monkeys down at like this giant procession of animals and people walking through the woods, basically the jungle, not the woods. You can tell them from Tennessee. Yeah, that was immediately impressed by the use of live animals.
Yeah, a lot of cool choreography in this first fight scene that doesn't need to it's a live action Jungle Book movie, and of course you're going to use animals and stuff. Like it's almost like unnecessary, but it's so cool that they were able to do this.
Yeah, you got to think about it like extreme sports, right? Like how do they learn to do those double back flips? How do they train those elephants to be fine with being surrounded by 60 humans?
Yeah,
that's a wild skill to have multiple elephants. That's that Disney money, baby. Let's go. Let's be honest. They threw a few extra elephants in that scene when they got that Disney money.
And what is this scene in particular in your notes because of like how they had to film it?
No, I started with the Shere Khan attack because that I tried to limit it this time around for our talk, and that was the first one that I was like, whoa, man, they got elephants charging through stuff, tigers attacking humans, fire, and a kid, which that was really impressive too. Like the way that thing was shooting the horses, or like on a horse-drawn buggy that's on fire with a kid in it. And I never thought like, oh, that's obviously a stuntman.
Right.
The way I did in True Lies.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was I could tell at one point that was not the same Mowgli, but for other purposes, yeah, they did a pretty good job, especially with all of the coordination with everything. And I believe the way that they were able to do this chaotic scene is they had to like film them separately. So we've got
Man,
Shere
so
Khan
many
attack, like
framers, so many individual shots, like very well done.
yeah,
And like when the cart explodes and they're like, "Oh God, that kid's dead,"
yeah, they just give
It's
up.
it's nice that they give this shot of the horses still running with
Hmm.
like flaming stuff behind them. It's like because in real life, there's no way the horses made it out of that. But like, there's a nice little like, but the horses are good.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that that you see that every animal is fine in this
All
movie.
animals are good in this movie.
It doesn't matter if they get stabbed. It doesn't matter if they get shot. Those animals are good to go because it's the
Yeah.
jungle. They'll deal with their own. You know?
Yeah, they heal super fast in the
They do.
jungle.
They do. Let's see what. Yeah. So opening attack, we could lose Mowgli. Mowgli. One thing I'll say about little baby Mowgli is he might be one of the most adorable children I've ever seen on screen. He's
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah, could have maybe shown a little bit of more emotion and stuff. Like it
Oh
would have
yeah.
been nice to have a little bit more of an emotional child because he's pretty stoic,
Hmm.
for a 9-year-old, or whatever he is. I think he's supposed to be 9 or so.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
remember how old he is. He's young. Those kids are
yeah,
young.
but like good on them for like we were saying in '94, they still made that kid like take training classes to carry that baby wolf around.
Adorable.
Yeah, and yeah, love it, love it. Like precious little baby carrying a precious little baby. And I did my reaction when he was like hanging from the tree.
Hmm.
I was like, "Where'd the wolf go?" And then you realize he's got like a sling, like a
Yeah.
baby sling.
But then when he falls, I'm still like, oh no, that wolf, that baby.
I rewound it. You get it like a little like swing into the ground.
And yeah, I get it with the with him calling out to his father. The Bapu, Bapu is so cute.
There's no way you could knock out an elephant. Not even if you're like the strongest. If you're Mike Tyson in his prime, like in the temple, maybe they got a soft spot, but no way, not a
Soft
chance.
spot. I thought when you said in the temple, I thought you meant like in the monkey temple, and I was like, why would you like? Is this a Street Fighter place where you're fighting them specifically? You got to do it in the temple. I didn't realize you called it a temple.
Yeah.
Your kids, yeah, you're right, Ryan. Your kids could have played that
I'm
role.
not gonna lie that seeing that, like I'm even over here on the side, there's a shot of this little kid, and that looks like Coy Boyd.
Yeah, he does.
When I was thinking about the recast, I was like, I got somebody.
I got a child. I know one.
I
He'll
know
pick up
a kid.
every snake there is too.
No matter how old he is, he can act like a 9-year-old.
That's so funny. It's true. It would have been good. I do like that we not only we get the baby wolf in this. We also get to see baby Baloo in a very sweet,
Oh man,
cute scene where he
Yeah.
pops his head out of the log. You hear that thump as he comes out. That's cute.
that was one thing. It was like I think they really like a baby Bagheera. That could have been cool, But I think that they struggled with the jaguar or like the panther. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So much so that there were a couple times that you could tell that it was like a jaguar that was like
Spray painted black.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what you got next?
No, the next thing I got is King Louie. Is when we go to the monkey city and he's going chasing after this monkey that stole his bracelet. Because we get it's a good action scene in here. We get a lot of like these chase scenes.
Well, I think they did a really good job as far as like the live action stuff goes that I've seen. it's the most reminiscent when he like that monkey grabs the bracelet and he starts chasing him. It's so cartoonish.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what a lot of the newer live action stuff is missing is like that cartoonish. Like, I think the music was great there. You know, like that's one
Hmm.
thing I noticed. One music moment I have written down is just like the folly of just like, oh, I'm chasing this monkey. You know, like exactly. Monkey steals the peach, but like monkey grabs that bracelet, and it. I think I haven't seen a whole lot of the live action stuff, but that felt really good. Uh, they did a really great job with like I think again just like going shot. A lot of individual shots just pieced together, and it I think they did a great job with.
I agree. I think the animal stuff where, we're used to wanting them to sing and dance and be animated and sing bare necessities and all this stuff that we know and love from the cartoon. And I think they actually did a really good job with the animals, giving them their own like personalities even. Like King Louie, all those monkeys are hilarious. I've got some fun facts about King Louie, the monkey that's pretty ridiculous, but it does seem like every animal has a good has personality and it comes through on screen. They're not talking, they don't have to be voiced by anybody, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
I think they did a good job with pretty much everybody but Bagheera.
Yeah.
Bagheera's just there, just around, and helps out at a moment, but like there's just no emotion from Bagheera, and that's why I said the thing about baby Bagheera.
Oh yeah.
I think that could have maybe helped.
He's like
Sure.
he's like Shadow from Homeward Bound. So he's
Man.
very stoic, very
We're gonna bring up Homeward Bound again later.
okay,
in
good,
the,
good. No, but the King Louis scene, obviously Louis hilarious, and like again doesn't talk, but says everything with the way he acts in that scene, and then like Ka comes in, the snake, the giant
and
snake.
what a giant chunk of no dialogue.
Yes, it's like Wall-E, like
so difficult to do. I think you and I both have seen a lot of attempts at that are like it gets boring when there's no dialogue. It's like writing a song with no lyrics. It's typically the driving force is the dialogue, and so to just do so well with the live animals. I will say that the introduction of King Louis was the first time I was like, that could have. I think even for '94, that could have been better. But you also immediately, like you're saying, kind of fall in love with King Louis. He's the villain in this moment,
mm-hmm.
the antagonist in this moment. But it's like he's the silly antagonist,
mm-hmm.
And then we meet Ka, who it's interesting they never like say his name at all. But yeah, the scariest version of Ka I've ever seen.
And it's very reminiscent of the Anaconda movie from the late 90s, the Jennifer Lopez one. That's what that snake reminded me of. And you barely get to see the snake. And like, I almost kind of wish they wouldn't have done the CGI parts with it.
I even think that like it would make sense to me that the people who made Anaconda watched the way they did like the underwater snake shot before they made Anaconda. They were like, yeah, do it like that. Because that, not to spoiler alert for those who maybe didn't watch the movie, that final shot of the snake is scary.
Yeah.
Still at 39 years old, that's a scary shot right there.
One thing we were talking about how this is like a silent portion. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of Mowgli like growling and doing all that stuff. I think this is the part that works for kids like, because one thing that, we watch like these adventure movies or we don't remember the dialogue so much of like Indiana Jones or something like that. We remember what was happening in those scenes, and then we fall in love with them later in our life once we pick up on dialogue, because like kids aren't paying that close attention to the dialogue. So if you can bring in children in this like silent portion of the movie, that's for them, and then it's like the love story is for the adults and stuff.
Man, I think that that raising of the treasure when it first kind of introduced Ka.
Hmm.
Like that's so almost like Star
Yeah,
Wars.
that's a great
Um,
comparison.
yeah, like that really like even the Mummy. I feel like when they made the Mummy, they were like, let's take it up a notch and do it like under their skin and those
Ooh,
bugs that
yeah, those
crawl under their skin.
bugs.
Yeah, man, that stuff's still icky to me. Like that to me was scarier than any of besides that last shot underwater. Like that just it raising up and then disappearing.
Hmm.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
and then Ka gets what I thought killed in this moment.
Kill shot, man. He's
You
getting
see the blood in the water, kill shot, dead.
yeah, gotta be dead.
And so King Louis respects him and gives him his bracelet back.
Yeah.
And so that was my next.
But he
That was my
takes the
next.
dagger.
He does take the dagger.
Yeah, which is the most non-Mowgli behavior in this entire movie. Like even at the end, they're like he's like, "Don't take anything, don't take anything." But like in this moment, he's like, this is cool. I'm gonna take this with me. I think he maybe learns throughout that was a bad choice.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you don't think about it as that. You just think, oh, this is the thing that saved his life, and this is the thing that caused him to get away from Ka. And you don't think like, oh, this is why everything bad happens in this movie is because you
From
took.
this point on, everything that the Shere Khan being around, that's you, man. You did this.
You did this. You brought this onto yourself.
Yep.
What's your next one?
I got the point where this clearly becomes not a kids movie anymore to me,
Hmm.
which is torture. This is what I wrote down. It's like when they take this man down and the guy's got the little like torture bat.
Oh yeah.
It was like, whoa, Disney, like, and I think some of the insinuation at that point is like, yeah, make sure he gets some charity. It's like, what are they about to do to this guy? I mean, and you see him kind of like whooping him like an animal, like a cornered animal, but like that's when I was like, man, as a kid, I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember that
I
parts of this
think
movie
maybe my
either.
parents were fast forwarding past stuff like that.
Hmm.
We watched a lot of movies that my parents would fast forward, you know, past the one part that was too rough.
Too rough. Yeah.
Everybody turn away so they can fast forward. But yeah, but also then the torture on the other side of that, of being let out. It's like now you've got to learn English.
Hmm.
It's like, man, I was going to ask you, like, my big question is, so do you stay just in the cell and get tortured, or you got to take every English class you've ever taken over?
Well, this isn't unique. This is unique too because like Mowgli could speak he could speak English and Indian or Hindi or whatever it is went before he moved to the jungle. So like is he and I don't know this about like child development or anything like that. Maybe you have some more insight into that. But like do you forget that, and if so, yes, is it easier to pick up because you were already learning at one point in your.
I won't even speak to the child side of it. What I will tell you right now today is that I took 4 years of German and enough Spanish classes that I don't remember how many I took. And I got very little left. So I think maybe it gave him a little head start. But they were trying to talk to him and he wasn't picking up on any, like, hey, hello.
Yeah.
Like, you would at least remember the name Kitty or something like
Hmm.
that, and he wasn't
Or your
picking
own
up on
name.
much. Yeah, Mowgli. You would hear that and be like, oh, that's just like when I hear, clavos. It's like, oh, that's nails in Spanish. Like one of the few words that I know.
Yeah. Now, I think you would be more motivated, and you probably did speak a little bit more conversational Spanish whenever you went to those places or picked it up. But like, he's in a situation where he's surrounded only by people that are speaking English. Like, that who knows? Maybe
Yeah, it'd be gone, man. I think especially living around animals that long, that just gets sorted out. That gets put in the trash bin and deleted.
Yeah. So
But I think
Google's
it did once they started, like rehearsing with them again. A lot of that, it's like, oh yeah, like maybe you could pick up on it a little bit faster.
yeah. Chat says that you would lose a significant portion of your language if you were raised by wolves.
And on top of English classes, he's got to do dance lessons too, man. Like
Dance
this,
lessons. He's got to, deal with people dressing him every day.
I mean, at some point, I'm thinking maybe put me back in the cell.
Or just release me. Just to put me out in the wild. Like,
I don't know. Maybe just send me back to Harley. This wasn't as bad as Harley down there in the dungeon.
well, it's just colonialism. That's what this all
Yeah,
is. It's
man.
like, hey,
Like
we
the
got to take the.
rapid fire words. Come on, man. I'm just learning. Like
It's
that.
we've got to put our English stamp on it. We've got to put our white Anglo-Saxon stamp on it. We got to make everybody like us and not like them. Not respect anything that they have going on. So
That'd be
that's
gone.
the heavy part of this movie that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Ev-
Yeah. Sure.
Everybody wants to talk about Baloo, but we don't want to talk about
Mhm.
colonizing people. Um,
No.
what do you have now? What's your next one?
I skipped pretty far forward. My next scene that I've got is I'm not a man. I'm not an animal.
Ooh, good lines.
Yeah.
Is that after the dance? The
It's after
ball?
the dance, yeah, the ball. I think it's worth mentioning that it's cool that it comes full circle. That they're dancing together after he interrupted or like kind of stepped in with the flower as a kid while she was dancing. That was nice. I do appreciate that. But I thought that I'm not a man, I'm not an animal. That's one of the strongest scenes in this whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. Like to me, from this point on, the movie gets great, not good.
Yeah.
Like everything before this, including the dance, is good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's rewatchable. It's likable. There's a lot of live animals. But I think you said something earlier about the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
The adventure starts here. After I'm not a man. I'm not an animal.
Yeah.
And I really there's a lot of things that could be said about Aladdin or Indiana Jones or Tarzan. Um, but I do like the turn of this movie after this point.
Yeah, it definitely it speeds up and you get more action pieces to it. You get scarier moments in this. With we get the quicksand. We get him getting chased down. Like him leading them to I love the whole part of him leading them to Monkey City by not even being escaping and being that's all cool to me.
I love also how great our villain is. Like
Oh, he's so good.
we have gone really far without mentioning Boone. Man, Boone is from first scene to this point that we're talking about, right before I'm not a man, I'm not an animal. That's what drove Mowgli to say that is like, I'm not those guys. Because what they just did to me, pushing me into the
Mhm.
table, laughing, um, that would, that's the build up to this emotional moment to me is like, yeah, I'm definitely not an animal, but I'm also not those guys either. So I'm neither. And that confusion really gets conveyed well, and that emotion that comes with that. And then Boone, we'll talk a lot more about Boone, but yeah, what a great villain we get from Carrie.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if we often think of Cary Elwes as a villain because we associate him with the Princess Bride. We associate him with
Definitely
Robin Hood
not
Men in
yet at
Tights.
this time.
Yeah,
Like I think I don't know. I can look real quick. You probably know when Princess Bride came out.
87. Yeah,
87.
yeah.
Okay. I wonder if he did anything between, but
He did.
um,
He did some other movies in between where I think he did play kind of jackasses or people like smug people. I think he's got that whole like smugness thing to him done very well. He's also a villain in a couple years later than this in Twister. He's like the bad guy tornado chaser in that movie. He's also like a bad guy in Ella Enchanted later down the line. He's interesting as he's kind of he can play both sides. I feel like.
Yeah, Robin Hood Men in Tights is one of those that he did in
Mhm.
between Hot Shots.
Hot
Yeah,
Shots, yeah. I knew
yeah,
he
the
had done
chase.
more.
Yeah, but not a villain. And man, I really I thought he was great in Saw, like
Yeah,
the first Saw. And I think maybe that's my favorite Saw is the first one. Um,
yeah,
and he did great in that movie. And he was kind of not a good dude, I think, as I remember it. But um, yeah, really, really great villain after coming off a lot of silly roles.
yeah. I love him, and I think Cary Ellis kind of lives in between there. It's like Wesley is kind of that character too. Like he is kind of this character that we see here. Just like this character's way more evil. Wesley's got that assholeness in him,
Mhm.
but he's more sweet. He's more in love in that movie than like a Boone in this movie. It's just like a couple of things go wrong in Wesley's life, and he becomes this guy. Like
Yeah.
it's possible. So I no, he does a really good job in this movie.
Yeah, gotta mention Boone because he's man a real hateable son of a bitch in this. You know,
Yeah.
like I think from scene number one with him, I was like, man, there's a lot of arm snatching
Oh
going
yeah.
on.
I was gonna say, man, every time he grabs an arm in this, don't love it.
Oh man, there's a lot of arm snatching in this movie, and it was like, ooh, the way you're doing that, like, is real convincing, brother. You know, like I don't like that, which is great. You know, yeah, that's what you from entering into the movie. It was like, yeah, I hate that guy. That guy
Yep.
sucks. Yeah,
I hate that guy.
yeah.
All right, so we've got that scene. What else you got?
Journey to Monkey City.
Journey to Monkey City. Yeah. I have that as like quicksand and
Yep.
everything.
It includes everything, which is, like you said, this beautiful. Mowgli knows the jungle, and he knows just getting there is going to provide enough challenges, and just like basically taunts them all the way in,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun, man. The quicksand's got to be mentioned. The quicksand is something that haunted me for years.
Yeah, that's like scary quicksand too.
That is the official moment where it's like, this is not a kid's movie. Like, I would not show
Mhm.
this to my young child. That scene in particular, because then it just makes the ground scary. Like, you have to really educate a kid in the aftermath of this movie. Is like, that only happens in these places on Earth. I wish somebody would have been like, that's not everywhere sand is. Because guess who was scared of the beach? Because, like, man, that might be quicksand, right? Like, after
True.
you've seen something like that,
It's over.
yeah, not a fan of sand ever after that.
It just gets everywhere, you know.
Yes, it's just
Not a big
tiny
fan.
little
This
pieces,
is also the time
tiny little pieces of glass.
we see Mowgli like legitimately kill a person too.
First time, I mean, but he says along the way, he's like the only reason he's so confused. Like, we got to mention the scene where he gets taken into the room with all the heads.
Oh yeah.
And is like, why would you kill the animals if you're not going to eat them? He's so confused by all of that. And so I think we just see the manifestation of him saying that, which is like, if I don't kill this guy, he's going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I thought quicksand was going to be a normal problem in my life.
I haven't encountered it once.
If I only knew, I would never encounter it. But now I'm not welcoming it into my life either.
I'm hoping. I'm praying for it.
Just stay away from sand, you know?
I'm embracing it.
Dude, that'd be a tough way to go.
Man,
That'd be
whatever.
tough. That'd be so tough.
Would you rather burn
Mouthful of
alive or
sand.
quicksand?
I think if somebody like, or is the situation where you just like Joan of Arc me?
Oh yeah, you're gonna.
So just like wood at the bottom, I'm tied up. You light it, and I slowly burn up. Is that, or are we talking about like a cremation style?
No, you're gonna. It's gonna creep up you.
I think if I have the knowledge of like, I'm just gonna like hit that smoke, breathe in as much of that smoke as I can. Yeah, I'm trying to get out of there. Then probably that direction. If
I would
ever
just start eating sand.
yeah, if I'm ever cornered in a fire, I'm gonna be breathing heavy, buddy. I'm gonna be breathing so heavy.
I'm gonna become a fish.
Yeah, I don't even like it when it's hot, much less.
Oh yeah,
burning.
that's where I'm out. Like,
Yeah, I don't like hot.
it's too hot. I can't take off my skin. I'm done.
Man, my blister so easily.
What if the inside of quicksand is fire? Then you got glass, bro. You got quick glass.
Man, that like that hot beach sand. Like you go down, and the farther you go down, the hotter it gets.
Mm-hmm. It's magma.
Yeah. Alyssa knows. She
Okay,
knows.
then what if I just set you on fire with a?
Like the way the soldiers set themselves on fire, where they just like douse themselves in gasoline.
Yeah. What if I did that to you?
I think maybe quicksand, man, because then I'm going the opposite. As soon as I'm like, I'm not getting out of this in the quicksand, I'm just gonna, I like just fill my lungs full of sand.
All right, let's say you don't have lungs. I'm just kidding.
Gotta live in there.
Yeah, you just gotta live on fire or live breathing sand, but without lungs.
Oh, God. This just got awful.
I know, right? We should mention that Baloo gets shot during this. It's a very sad scene because you don't know if he's gonna make it.
That's one of my biggest cries is like, because we don't see a lot of Baloo from cub to getting shot.
Mm-mm.
But he's still, I think, other than King Louie, our most lovable animal.
I agree.
So yeah, he basically takes the bullet for Mowgli. Like he could.
Yeah.
I don't know how they could get a bear to like. That would be crazy. If just Baloo is like, no.
That's a clip.
But he basically did though. You know.
Yeah.
That was the bear equivalent of taking like Sinbad in the President, where he's protecting the kids.
Yes, first kid.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I cared more about the fact that Baloo got shot than her dumb dad?
Yeah, he seemed to get grazed.
Yeah, and he was like crawling through the jungle at one point. I was like, what happened to you?
He got grazed, man. He was all
You're
right.
fine.
He was all right. Yeah.
Baloo is way more important.
Yeah, but I love a good. Is he okay though? You know,
Yeah.
like it seems like Baloo's in bad shape, but Mowgli takes care of it, gets the doctor on it, saves the doctor, gets the doctor to save a life, and or try to save a life, and then gets back to action. But yeah, it just takes them all the way to Monkey City, and they like, man, Wilkins is. I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead and say that he's my scene stealer.
Yeah, he's got some good lines. He's fun.
Dude, he's got good lines. I love his shamefulness when Sam Neely finds out, like when they finally pull up on him and he's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
How ashamed he is. I thought that was a really good part of this, as he was like, you know, like Boone is like, he's not supposed to be here. What happened? Blames it on the guy. But the other dude, from the moment they show him, is like, oh shit, he's here. You know, like
Yeah.
I loved how ashamed he was. And then I would say, other than the animals' heads flashing, and the quicksand, the scene that I remember the most from this movie is Wilkins getting chased by Shere Khan.
By Shere Khan, yeah.
Woo, boy! Like, because the shots of those the tiger is moving, and that still scares me, man.
It's still again, it's impressive that he like tackles obviously a stunt double at that time, but like that is a tiger on top of a human being that is getting mauled by Shere Khan. Like
you almost get like the Jurassic Park shot of
yeah,
him being like, "Oh, I'm good," and then turning, and they're like the face to the face. Face. That's the scene I was referencing earlier, where it was like, man, as a kid, I was like, "Oh,
I think in that moment I even said "clever girl."
yeah, right, man." And that I even thought that they did a pretty. It seemed like a sizing thing. Like if
Yeah,
they had just made the tiger a little bit bigger, that it would have looked a little bit more realistic, but still holds up in the way that like you said, those shots of the tiger jumping on those stuntmen or those trainers is wild because
yeah,
you can kind of tell they're like, oh, I'm wrestling with you,
yes,
but it's like still, man, tigers got to have bad days too.
yeah.
And like they're like, I'm done wrestling with you. I'm gonna eat your face.
You got an eatable face, man.
Man, you got such an edible face.
And then Monkey City, we get that this feels the most like the Mummy to me when they're in Monkey City. We've got like that weird trap situation with the casket or whatever, and the sand starts coming in. I hated
Talk
that.
about another scene that haunted me, man. Like there's a handful of scenes that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this, and they're all horrifying.
Yeah,
Like the snake underwater, the sand, the quicksand. It's all these. The tiger face to face jumping on you. It's like that's all I remember. I don't remember how this movie ends or any of the good parts. It was just like all the things that scared the poo out of me as a kid.
no, it's good, and like it's that's not even like that scene with like the sand coming in. That's not even intended to be a like booby trap situation. That's like a burial thing.
Yeah, man. Is there something similar in The Mummy?
I feel like there is.
Yeah, I need to rewatch The Mummy. That's one of my pairings
Same.
because I would want to watch The Mummy after this because I feel like my memories of them blend together.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does, and it especially with like the temple scene, and it's very reminiscent of in The Mummy when they're in the whatever their temples too at the end of that movie.
They just double down on the gold and treasure,
Yes, yeah. And the British girl. They all have a British girl in there somewhere too.
Oh yeah.
So this is good. We also see Wilkins, or not Wilkins. Wilkins obviously gets his comeuppance. The Indian dude gets his with being buried alive,
Damn.
and then Boone, trying to get all that gold and everything, and he gets his by Ka, the return of Ka.
Man, just what a way to go to where you realize, like, oh, a lot of people have tried to do this. That's why there's skeletons down here.
God, that is scary. When he's underwater and he sees all of those things, he's like weighed down by the gold and everything. That is scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that oof. I don't like, man, that and like Anaconda, we've already mentioned, made me real scared of like I couldn't be around a big snake. Even if you were like, hey, let's go to this place where they got snakes and they got a 16-foot python, boa constrictor, something like that. You can pet it. I'd be like, this is how movies like that start. I'm good, man, on big snakes. Scare me. Like, I'll say, even though the CGI snake face is kind of crazy,
Mm-hmm.
it's still scary.
It is scary. In those moments, it is scary. It is a little laughable to look at the scene. But they do only put it on screen for like a
2
second.
seconds, 2 times.
Yeah.
And again, as a kid, I wasn't like, that seems fake. I know
Yeah.
what Snake
You're
Man
watching it
looks
on a
like.
TV like this one, and you're like, I can't tell the difference.
Like, yeah. Real scary as
Yeah.
a child.
So he wins. Mowgli wins, and I did think it was interesting that Kitty the whole time was like, "Let's take." You had mentioned this earlier. Let's take something, and he was like, "No, we're not taking anything."
Kitty talks shit as they all die. They're like, she's like, oh no, I know, like
And
she
yeah,
makes a little comment, like Wilkins dies, and she's like, oh, I guess we gotta just move on.
yep.
I feel like she mocks him at every death.
Well, the last time when they get to the temple, she's like, "I'm not worried about anything because Mowgli's going to save my life." Because
Like confidence.
yeah, she knew. I mean, when
Yeah.
you look like Mowgli, like when you got a guy in love with you that looks like Mowgli, you're like, "I'm good."
He's in Brad Pitt Fight Club shape.
Is he the hottest we've had this year? Who knows?
And man, top of the list for sure.
He
Like,
is up there because he looks good.
man, I really do think, I've always heard the joke about people going to like personal trainers and being like, I want to look like Brad Pitt from Fight Club. I bet Brad Pitt from Fight Club was like, I want to look like Mowgli.
Look like Mowgli.
Because he looks great, man.
He looks great
Yeah.
and wet. He's just wet all the time.
He's so sweaty. I was telling Joseph earlier that I was going to try to go shirtless for the stream.
Same.
But I had to try to do some shading, like 300.
No, you mean like in Always Sunny when they draw the abs on the Birds of War. Stomp, clap, stomp, clap.
Oh my
All right, who's your favorite character?
favorite character is between King Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Just brightens the whole movie. Like any shot that King Louis is around. I also think scene stealer for me is Wilkins, man. Like really great performance to be a side character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through in some of the research that I did. Like, this is that guy's first movie.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I forget what his name is, but he's in like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That's what I remember him best from.
That I was looking. I was like, nah, I didn't watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels enough, and I was like, there's something else I recognize him from. It's Snatch.
Yes, which makes sense. It's the Guy Ritchie movie.
Because I've watched Snatched a 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But that mullet really, he hides in that mullet really well. So I
And
had to see images before I was like, oh yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, he's in a couple other movies. Like, I think he plays Frankenstein or no, Dr. Jekyll in like Van Helsing, that movie with Hugh Jackman in it, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Jason Fleming is his name. Yeah, he's great. He is really good in this.
He's not my best performance.
Yeah.
But he's my favorite character or scene stealer, along with King Louis. Like I picked a human favorite and an animal favorite.
Yeah, I went pretty basic. I'm not gonna lie. Although I do think that everything that we've said about the acting in this has been good. I'm going with Mowgli. I love him.
Oh yeah,
he's got great. I particularly like the montage scene where he is learning English and stuff. I think he's really funny and charming in that whole section of the movie. In a section of the movie that is kind of boring too.
Yes.
He is bringing out the best parts in that. So I picked out Mowgli, and then Scene Stealer. I had King Louis because he's the best.
Oh yeah.
All right, quotes. Any memorable quotes? There's not a ton of quoting things. There's a lot of quiet parts in this movie. A lot of growling.
I kept it real simple this time around.
Yeah, same.
Because there were two back to back that I was like, those are my two favorite quotes from the movie because they happen within a few minutes of each other. Number one, man, woman, woman, one man, two women, Lucky man.
That was my favorite quote.
God, best line in the movie, I think. And then shortly after, he says, "No, no, no, that's not a boat. That's Queen Victoria."
Great. That's great.
With no like they don't show a
They don't
picture
show
or
anything either.
He's
No,
like, "No, no, no, that's not a boat."
that's our queen. Um, what else?
That's all I got for quotes, man. I kept it simple.
I picked those two from Dr. Plumford. I did like when she is showing him a portrait of King Louis, the French King Louis, and he's wearing a crown and whatever. He goes, "King Louis, if you see him, tell him I know who took his hat," which I
That's good.
I like that.
That is a good one.
And then I had a serious quote, and it's from that scene where Mowgli and Boone are in the place with all the the mounted animals and everything. He says, "I hunt animals, you know." And then Mowgli turns to him and he says, "Maybe someday you hunt me." I was like, that's good.
Yeah, man. I think the even open. I feel like Sam does the. Let's see. Sam Neill does the narration at the beginning and end. And I thought even just the way he did the introduction about let me tell you a tale.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wrote that down as just that's kind of like a side note that I have. It was like the narration at the beginning and end of it. I thought was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's Sam Neill's best part in this movie because I don't think he's very good in the rest of it.
I wouldn't argue with you.
Yeah, I don't mind Sam Neill at all. I love him. Jurassic Park's awesome and everything. But yeah, I felt like he didn't care that much in this movie.
Yeah, and I think maybe just the writing wasn't great for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
he's a little King Triton from Little Mermaid.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill. We already, kind of went over a lot of these in our scenes that we talked about. Is there anything else that we're missing?
I've just got animal heads on the wall. That's I've got Baloo getting shot, got the quicksand, and I've got buried by sand.
Yeah.
Those
only
all
thing-
haunted me.
Yeah, the only thing I add is when little Mowgli keeps calling out for his dad. Papu, Papu.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
God.
Good one.
That was the only other one I had. And then the scary scene under the water.
Yeah.
With the skeletons. That was blah. All right, what was your most ridiculous moment? Or what the
when Mowgli first grown up Mowgli first finds Kitty in the jungle and is just in designer clothing.
Yes.
All of a sudden. I literally said out loud, and what I wrote down is, where did he get those clothes?
And why would he put them on? He's been living the whole time in nothing. Why does he put them on? I had the exact same thing written down. I was like,
what the fuck? That is my what the fuck moment in this movie, where it was just that's not even, the snake CGI?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Nothing compared to him just showing up in full designer clothing. And it's almost like they took something from later in the movie.
Well, we see him with the knife. He pulls that knife out, and it's next to that dead skeleton. And I think that's where the clothes come from. But you only see it for a second. And I was like, we just took a leap. And why would he put the clothes on though? Again, why?
He knows he's there. Maybe I can see him running back, putting the clothes on. He's like, "Oh, Kitty's here," or a white woman's here. Even if he doesn't put Kitty yet, and he goes back to the clothing, but he just jumps into walking up on her in full garb, and that was come on, man. Yeah, that's my big WTF moment. And then the other moment I was like, ooh, I don't like that at all, is when they were he was explaining marriage to the Dr. Plumford was explaining marriage to Mowgli, and he didn't understand. He didn't understand, and he was like, "It means she belongs to him." And I was like, "Oh, girl,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't."
It does if you're doing it right, Steven.
It does, I mean, it does in
Just kidding. I'm
1994.
just kidding. Don't clip that. Don't clip that.
Flip it.
Clip it. Yeah, the only other thing I had was that there was like virtually no search for Mowgli. Like he just saw the horses burning, and he was just like, "Nah, that kid's dead.
Yeah.
Kid's dead."
Saw the explosion. It exploded because there was kerosene back there. But like,
Not even gonna search for the body.
yeah, like
This is like
you
your
can
friend. This is your child's best friend.
explosions can like like in most things it seems like you may get cooked a little bit, but it's just gonna like fling you. And see, that's what I would hope for if I was near an explosion. That I'm like, boom, and I may
Yeah.
be a little burnt, but like, look for me, please. Exactly. Please look for
How
me.
do you explain that to your daughter? I would rather explain it to my daughter and say, "Here is Mowgli's dead body. He's no longer here," than just be like, "Nah, he doesn't exist anymore.
He's gone.
He's gone."
He's just gone now.
All right, best music moments or score. I've got one that you probably don't have, so I'll let you go ahead though.
Man, I thought the let's bring back the Homeward Bound.
Mm-hmm.
The music when Baloo got shot reminded me of Homeward Bound music, as well as Baloo's return when he comes back at the end. It felt like shadow coming over the hill. And then when I looked at the score and who did it and how much great music this guy has written, it made sense because there's a lot of great, kind of like I was mentioning the folly earlier, and like for the intense moments as well. Baloo getting shot and then returning, I was like, nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the film and you were writing to it, nailed it.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, this guy does this stuff like. He did both. He did Free Willy and Free Willy 2. He did White Fang. He also did Lassie, the Lassie movie that we didn't do earlier this year. Like, this guy's got some experience with animal movies and knowing how to pull at your heartstrings with the right music and everything. The guy's name is Basil Polidorus.
Yes, and there were definitely moments that felt like, man, talk about a soundtrack, the Free Willy soundtrack. That felt very Free Willy, like very emotional for instrumental score. And shout out to that guy because he did a great job, and then has had a very successful career since then.
Also, didn't realize that he did Serial Mom too. He did the movie we just did. He did the.
Was that last week?
Yeah.
Two of his scores in a row.
Interesting. I didn't even mention it last week. The only other thing I want to pull out musically, and I did listen to this song earlier, is the Kenny Loggins song that was only released on the European soundtrack and released as the credit song on the European release of this movie. It's called Two Different Worlds.
YouTube. It is on YouTube. You can go and listen.
And it's good. I liked it.
I liked it as well. It made sense why when I saw on Reddit there are a lot of people upset that it's like not more available. Not only this movie, like on Disney Plus and things like that, but like that song in particular is not available at more wide, like in the credits. But in the version, the end credit song is not bad either from our original composer.
Right.
I'm not even going to try to say his name.
I think, we're good there. But no, if you have a chance, listen to the Kenny Loggins song. This is like Kenny Loggins is going in this moment in the 90s. He's like embracing his. Did you ever hear the Winnie the Pooh song that he did in the 90s? It reminds me of that Winnie the Pooh song. And like this Two Different Worlds song also, does it inspire the soundtrack for Tarzan? Who knows?
Man, I really think this song ends up in the U.S. version of the end credits, and it does really well. Maybe and even wins an award
Yeah, I could see like
because
why not? Yeah.
you're talking about a Kenny Loggins song with Indian influence.
Oh, it was so good. The beginning of the song is so good with
Yep.
the Indian like music and oh, it's so good.
Perfect name, Two Different Worlds as well. Like they crushed it with that song, and it's cool. This is what I love about being involved in the stream is like I would have never heard that. Like maybe if you had somebody else on today, I would have mentioned it. I would have gone to listen to it, but I listened to that song a couple times
Yeah.
in the last couple of days because it's great. Like Kenny Loggins that you're talking about, Pete Kenny Loggins. So if you got time. Kenny Loggins, Two Different Worlds is on YouTube. Go check it out.
It's a good one. I'm glad that you listened. I'm happy that you listened.
Oh yeah,
All right. Is there let's see. Do I want to do this F Mary Kill? Yes, I
give
do.
it to me.
Okay, we're gonna choose between Baloo, Bagheera, and King Louie.
Oh, I'm marrying King Louis off top.
Because he's rich?
Not rich, and what a good time. What a good time. Like he just seems like a fun guy. He's a fun guy. And you said King Louis, Baloo, and who else?
Bagheera.
Kill Bagheera.
Yeah,
In this
you didn't like
movie,
Bagheera.
Yeah, Bagheera is the only animal we don't get any emotion from until like one point he helps out.
He gets
He
the
helps.
he helps Mowgli escape.
Yeah, he helps at one point, but we get like I think if we would have gotten baby Bagheera, we would have
Yeah.
been more attached. But yeah, get killed, so that leaves a good old effing for Baloo.
I think you're right. I think that's the order. I'm going with King Louis because he's rich.
Man,
He'll
I
take
didn't
care
even
of me.
think about that. That's a huge bonus. He just seems like a good time, man. Every time they show him, he's like, "What's up?"
Although I don't want him to ever get mad at me because then he'll just sick his giant snake on me.
But also, if you stay on his good side, he's got all those monkeys. You never have to do anything, man.
It's very true.
Like, you
Man,
need some
the
food?
monkey acting. Can we talk about the monkey acting? They're so
Man.
good.
Wow.
When they all go quiet, like that's pretty impressive.
I love when they there's a scene early on where they're like, "What kind of monkeys are those?" And it's lemurs. I thought that was a fun little joke,
Yeah.
that they didn't even really address. But yeah, I think that's where I land. King Louis is just happens to be rich, man. But Baloo, I appreciate the sacrifice, but yeah, Bagheera is boring. So
He's
kill him.
gone. He's gone.
Yep.
All right, who gave the best performance in this movie?
Boone.
Yeah.
Uh,
Carrie Ellis.
yep. Man, hateable,
Hateable.
sexist, misogynistic, like abusive, rapey, handsy asshole
Mhm.
the whole time. No redeeming quality
Yeah.
in this guy, man. Just crushes the role. And you've already talked about, like Mowgli does great.
Mhm.
But I didn't love Mowgli as much as I hated Boone.
Yeah. I put the opposite of that on there. I put Jason Scott Lee as my best performance in this too. The movie doesn't
You
work
loved
without him.
Mowgli. You loved Mowgli more than you hated Boone.
Yeah, because I hated a lot of those people. The second that Baloo gets shot, I'm just like death to all. Everybody deserves to die.
Nuke them.
Yes, I was just like kill them, show off your abs, and like crush their head on your abs, like just
Kill him.
kill him. All right, if let's do a recast. If you had to recast this movie, you can do some for 94. I didn't do any for 94, but if you had to for 94, who would you pick?
You ready to be proud of me?
I am. I'm so ready.
I spent more time on this recast than I have probably any other recast.
I'm excited.
All right, 94. Wilkins, Daniel Stern.
Okay.
So you got Marv,
Yeah,
basically.
Marv.
Marv playing Wilkins. Boone, Kevin Spacey, because
Ooh.
we all know he can be handsy.
Yeah.
Uh, um, Mowgli, Naveen Andrews from Lost.
Ooh, yeah. He'd be around that age too. Yeah.
He was, man, Google it right now. Young Naveen Andrews, beautiful. He's
Oh,
beautiful.
no doubt. Young.
Google it, chat. Naveen Andrews, young images. See what I've seen.
Oh yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
looking dude.
he's a very good looking fella. Um, for Bryden, which is Sam Neill, I just put Bruce Greenwood because he looks exactly like Sam Neill.
That's funny. Yeah.
When I a lot of times I get them confused.
Yeah.
So
I could
that's
see
why,
that.
yeah, and I think he could do that character better, maybe?
Yeah.
Question mark. For Kitty, I got a young Drew Barrymore
Okay.
because of Ever After. She's like a princess in Ever After, and I
Mm-hmm.
could see like a little younger version of her from Ever After doing Kitty's, who is Cersei. Like that was when I first saw her, I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
You know her. Yeah, great performance from her in this movie. We haven't mentioned her a whole lot, but then for Cleese, I got Edward Herman, which is the
That's
dad
funny. It's almost like you
from
did
Gilmore
a like
Girls.
American version of everybody. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my 94.
Nice. Anybody? Did you do anybody for 2024?
Yeah, same amount.
I only did
Uh,
4 for
you got
2024.
nobody for 94?
I didn't do anybody for 94.
All right, for 2024, for Wilkins, I got BJ Novak.
Okay.
For Boone, I have Christopher Waltz or Christoph Waltz.
Okay.
For Mowgli, I've got Danny Pudi.
There's one that's like right there, and you went with Danny Pudi, which I think is great.
Because then we get a real awkward Mowgli.
Yes.
For Bryden, I got Tim Wilkinson.
Oh, I love Tom Wilkinson. He's so good.
Yeah. For Kitty, I got Margot Robbie.
Yes. Like it.
For Cleese, I've got Harrison Ford, little Indiana Jones
Yeah.
integration. He's
I
the
like
old
it.
doctor.
I like it. I like that. Yeah. I had Dev Patel as Mowgli.
Okay.
I'm thinking Monkey Man Mowgli, like in that
Oh,
movie where he's like super badass. Yeah.
I definitely saw that as and thought, yeah,
It's easy. Too easy.
easy. Yeah, I wanted to go deeper.
Emma Watson is Kitty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back Cary Elwes. Make him the dad in this movie.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that.
I love
I
bringing
think
back.
he does better than Samuel.
Yeah, I think so too. And then Tom Felton as Boone. So that's Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies as Boone.
Ooh, I like.
Yeah. So I think him and Emma could have some fun together.
Or like let him be the dude that played Joffrey
Yeah.
in Game of
Oh, yeah.
Thrones be Boone.
That kid's almost like too evil.
Yeah, that's what I've always seen about him is that like he'll never get to be anything else because
And
he was so over the top in Game of Thrones.
I heard he's like the sweetest guy too. Like he's really, really nice and kind in public. That's unfortunate. So unfortunate. Fun facts about this movie.
We've I think discussed most of mine.
Yeah.
Like there were about 200 live animals
Mhm.
used for this movie, and like a bazillion trainers.
Did you see that several scenes were filmed at Lost Creek State Natural Area in White County, Tennessee?
I did. And there was some other, where was it? Somewhere else in the South Carolina
Yeah,
or
something like that.
yeah. They shot most of it in India and it was hot as bejeez. Oh, shut up, you. Um uh yeah, apparently that was another thing I read that there were very hot days in the filming of this. Um because they really shot most of it in India. I guess the orangutan couldn't be shot in India.
Hmm.
And there was some other. What was shot in Tennessee? You remember? Was it the wolf stuff?
I think it was like no, I. What was it? They utilized like the cave and stuff like that. So yes, I think it was the wolf stuff,
Okay,
the
yeah,
falls there and everything.
that
We
makes
should
sense.
all go. It's east of Nashville, north of Chattanooga. Let's go.
We'll meet up there.
We'll we'll discuss the Jungle Book while we there.
Uh, the only other things I got is Disney Health, CGI on Ka, and first live action remake from Disney.
Hmm. Other things. You said the thing about it being hot. That like ledge thing, the flame ledges, caused the temperature to be 137 degrees when they were filming that. That's why he's so sweaty.
That's super cool and all, but
It was
man,
super cool.
cut a fan on.
Yeah, please. The King Louis stuff this is the only other one that I'll talk about. All the scenes featuring King Louis, his name's Lowell, the orangutan, was shot on a soundstage in L.A. According to the director, he was the easiest animal to work with and the most entertaining. He started to pee all over he loved attention, and he started to pee on the blue screen that they were using for this, and the crew loved it. They were laughing, and Lowell, the orangutan, thought, "Hey, you guys love this pee stuff? I'll keep going." So he starts
Take it up a
swatting
notch.
his pee everywhere, which caused everybody to laugh louder, and then he began to suck on his fingers.
Yeah, man.
Give it up
Sounds
for
like the
Lowell.
orangutan was a good time.
Those guys, man.
Those
Um,
guys.
all right, like a fine wine and dish, I'm sure we've covered every single one of these. If you could pair this with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
Man, I think Jungle to Jungle would be good.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You mentioned Tom and Huck, and like any. I don't know that I have made it all the way through the new live action Jungle Book,
Hmm.
so I can't pair it with that because I can barely get halfway through it. But the old one, the cartoon one
Yeah,
is absolutely, kind of like the Lion King. I just feel like untouchable. You get so much cartoon from Ka,
yeah,
Trust in Me, like all that is just so essential to the Jungle Book that I know. And so, yeah, I think Jungle to Jungle, or
that's
the
a good one.
Mummy. The
Yeah,
Mummy would be good pairings.
I also Tarzan, Aladdin. I think this movie is Tarzan, Aladdin, and Jungle Book, like just thrown into
Indiana
each other.
Jones.
Indiana Jones, yeah. The
Yeah.
Mummy is a great one to put in. There is a Legend of Tarzan that came out not too long ago that I really liked. It had Margot Robbie in it, actually, and Alexander Skarsgård. I really liked that movie, so that's a good live action one. That's a little bit more serious.
The 2016.
Yes, I actually
Christopher
really like that
Waltz.
movie.
Christoph Waltz.
He's
Okay.
he's the bad guy in that.
Ah,
And
okay.
and Samuel L's in this movie. Like it's good.
Yeah. Man, that guy from I feel like the first thing I saw him when was 300, maybe, or
Hmm.
Gladiator. Did
Oh,
DJIMON.
Jaimon Hansu. Yeah, yeah,
Man, he's great in
Gladiator.
everything he's in.
Yeah, he's good. He's
Yeah,
good.
good
So
recommendation.
I'd recommend that one. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, how likely are you to rewatch this movie? 3. That's what I put.
Samesies.
Yeah. Oh, George of the Jungle. That's a good one. That's a really
That's
good
a
one.
really good
Yeah.
one.
All right. If you had to give it an overall star rating, 1 to 5, what would you give it?
Man, for me, this gets it I want to give it a 4, and I want to give it a 3 so bad that it's gotta be a 3.5.
We are exactly the same. 3.5.
It just is not a 4 movie because of the first half
Yeah.
to me. But it's also not a 3 movie because of the back half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gotta be for me a 3.5, which is I try to stay. I think like, do you try to stay away from halfsies?
No, I love a half. I mean, I gave it 3.5 stars. So.
Yeah, I don't like a 3.5. I like to stick to, like to me, I a lot of times can either be swayed,
Mm-hmm.
but like I don't think you could sway me out of a 3.5 on this one.
Like I think 3, like for me, if I was, this changes all the time with me. I've tried to explain it all the time, but like in my regard, like 3 is a solid movie. It does what it needs to do. That extra bump up for me is because I was really entertained by this movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored. I think everybody did exactly what they were supposed to. I laughed when I should have. I was scared legitimately when I was should have been. I was mad when I should have been. Like it evoked emotion within me that maybe a 3-star movie doesn't do. It's just there.
This is what I like about you because I'm not as lenient,
Mhm.
like when I was very surprised when you gave Junior 4,
5.
5.
I gave it 5 stars, which is kind of a meme.
Yeah, like I really respect your taste in movies, and so that's why you know I we've talked a lot about ratings over our friendship,
Hmm.
uh, and it's kind of sad to see those empty shelves and that blank TV back there.
I know, right?
But we've spent a lot of time even in that place talking about, like what does it actually mean to give it a 3 or a 4? And ooh, I forgot you gave it a 5. But yeah, this one's a solid 3.5. We're not
Yeah.
gonna get it. We're not gonna talk about Junior
I think I,
again.
I think I think I was genuinely surprised too rewatching this. I kind of expected it to be bad and not as good as like what I remember from my childhood, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, "No, this is good. I would watch this."
I think that you could, if you went into this not appreciating how much it would take to wrangle all those
Yeah.
fucking animals, and you were just like, I don't care, that doesn't matter, that doesn't make it good. It's an easy 2, 3 star,
Yeah, I
like.
could see I
But
could see
immediately I was like, holy shit, what a shot! Like this is like planet Earth,
yeah,
like.
I could see like Steve or not Steven. I could see Spencer. I could see Ryan. Also not like because they're not like into animal movies so much.
Mhm.
So I could see them not enjoying these movies as much. And if you don't enjoy animal, that's what I think is fun about the ratings thing. One, they're all like pointless. Like your
Yeah,
3.5 is different than my 3.5, but we all get there somehow, and we all do
yeah.
like and it really doesn't matter because it's all from us. Like it's fun to do, and not to shit on anybody for giving something a 1 star if you really liked it, or me giving a 5 star to a terrible movie.
I'm gonna give you shit forever about giving Junior 5 stars.
5 stars. I can't think of a better experience I've had
That's
watching a movie.
what friends are
All
for.
right, let's get out of here. Well, thank you, Steven, for doing this with me. And have you watched anything recently that you would like to recommend to people?
I haven't, man. I've kind of been like you. I've been in spooky mood
Hmm.
this month, so just been doing a lot of watching Casper and Hocus Pocus and uh,
Classics.
Charlie Brown, and watching all the Parks and Rec episodes and Office episodes, Halloween episodes. So I haven't watched anything super exciting recently. I do have a few music. I mean, Origami Angel put out a a great record very recently, and Real Friends put out a new record recently.
You like the new Real Friends one?
I do. There's a couple songs that I think are some of their better with the new lead singer.
The new singer,
So
yeah.
I also I won't talk about music too much, but I will say that I listened through the new Tyler the Creator album,
Mhm.
and I think that it's my favorite of all time.
Okay.
There are a couple
You're
of
not a
songs
big
that
Tyler guy, are you?
I
I didn't.
hated
Yeah.
him for a long time because he said very awful things in a time where I was trying to not listen to awful things. And this album is, man, mature. I think that, man, there's Take Your Mask Off, I think is a song I would recommend to start with. There's also a song with Schoolboy Q that is incredible. There's a song called Balloons that is really weird uh, and awesome. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it also has some very like singing songs on it. They're very R&B ish. So yeah, definitely worth a listen. I saw a video of somebody talking about it saying it was good, and I was like, no way, and put it on and was like, oh,
Not
not
bad.
what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's called Chromacopia
Yeah,
or
something
something.
like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Weird cover. There's definitely some weird songs on there, but definitely give it a chance. I think it's pretty cool.
okay, I'll check him out. Yeah, I kind of got turned off by Tyler the Creator when he first came on the scene with Odd Future and all that stuff. I wasn't as big a fan, but maybe.
Won me back a little bit with Loiter Squad, and then man, anytime somebody says, "Hey, this is really good," I'll give it a chance.
Give it a
You know,
chance.
like I
Yeah.
said, if somebody's passionate about something being good, I'll put it on. And I was I was not disappointed. So yeah, definitely worth listening to.
Perfect. Well, thank you for those recommendations. I haven't watched anything really either. I did watch the newest Halloween movie, the
Oh
first
yeah,
one in that series, like they redid in like 2018 or something like that. It was pretty good. I was
with
pretty
gray
impressed.
haired Jamie.
Yes, gray hair
Mhm.
Jamie. It was pretty. It was better than I expected. And so I'll probably end up watching the rest of those in that series and see if they're
Man, the
any good.
Haunted Mansion with Jamie Lee Curtis, the newer Mansion.
Yeah, you
I like
liked
it.
it?
Yeah, we've been watching it the last couple Halloweens, and I think it's not bad at all. That kid is awesome
Yeah.
in the Haunted Mansion. But anyway,
That's okay. All right. Well, I don't have anything coming up recently. We did, talk about we're going to watch in the future. I think we're looking for like a January stream of like watching director. All these movies from this director. We're choosing an older director from like some older movies, black and white movies, Orson Welles. We're going to try and do that stream in January and rank those, and then maybe get back to more like current directors after we do that. Um, you can find out more information. You can join the Discord. You can always follow me on Instagram. Check out Letterboxd for all those things. Next week, we've got a big one, maybe the biggest one of them all. And we're going to be covering The Lion King, the animated movie from '94. So and that is streaming on Disney Plus. So do check that out and join us next week as we talk about that. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all of the subscriptions and follows and everything. It's really appreciated. Love you all. And we'll see you next week on 52/1994.